everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to mention 6 ways I'm making gold through professions in World of Warcraft, and all of these are actually previous expansion profession making, gold making, so it means that it will probably still be viable to do this in Legion. And I have mentioned these because, like I said, I still think they will be viable. I do know a lot more than only 6 ways of making gold through professions, but I mentioned 6 today because I think the video will get too long if I mention everything. I might make it into a series and be like, oh, this is like 6 ways and this is 5 ways, and then just roll with it, because there are a lot of things you can create and farm, etc. with your professions. So let's get started with my guide. Oh, by the way, shout out to Vindicta at Frostmain for giving me a few tips and tricks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it when you guys contact me with your insight. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So let's get going, shall we? Number 1 on my list is the Enchanted Elementium bar, which is required to make the legendary Thunder Fury. The recipe drops from Master Elemental Shaper Crixes in Blackwing Lair, and you need 1 Elementium ingot, 10 Arcanite bars, 1 Fury core, and 3 Elemental Flux to make it. The Elementium ingots can be farmed, but to a certain degree. The drop seems to be fixed, so I can't farm this endlessly, but at least on my server they aren't really that expensive, so I don't mind buying these out from the auction house instead of farming them. For the Arcanite bars, you need 1 Arcane Crystal and 1 Thorium bar. Plus you need an Alchemist for the Transmute, and the Transmute can be bought from the vendor Alchemist Pestle Sug in Tanaris. I highly recommend being a Transmute master for this, because the Transmute can proc. The Arcane Crystals are a lot easier to farm, but requires you to spend time and be patient. Plus you need above 300 mining level. I personally like mining the crystals from Silithus, mining the thorium nodes there, which I just fly down the outer rim of Silithus and mining every ore I see. I do ignore the nodes inside the hives just because it takes extra time. So when I'm done with 1 round, the nodes are usually respawned, plus the nodes are usually not too scattered either. A lot of people seem to farm these in Ungoro Crater too, but I have gotten more out of farming in Silithus. This is totally RNG, but I did an hour farming in Silithus for this video earlier today, and an hour mining gave me 33 arcane crystals. Fury cores drops from different mobs and bosses in Molten Core, and they can be bought quite cheap from the auction house as well. And the elemental flux are sold by all blacksmith vendors for 3 gold each. Number 2, Whiptail. Whiptail is probably my favorite old school herb to farm, and it is required in the recipe to make Potion of Treasure Finding. I like Whiptail farming so much because you can find them all along the waterline in Uldum, and they spawn a lot. I'm usually left with a couple stacks of 200 after an hour farm, and it is worth to mention you will need herbalism level over 490 for Whiptail to be proper herbs and not just stems. You can also farm the other herbs or cataclysm used in the potion, which are Cinderbloom, Stormvine, and Heartblossom, as well as Whiptail, but Whiptail is easier than the others, and I usually sell 1 Whiptail for 10 or more gold. Number 3, Hypnotic Dust. So everyone and their mothers are probably currently farming this, especially those with goblin tendencies like myself, but it is really a great farm because Hypnotic Dust is still a great source of income. What I like to do is either farm the first room of mobs in Bastion of Twilight, like I mentioned before in my previous video, or do Firelands trash farming. The point with Firelands trash farming is to kill everything you can of trash without killing any bosses. So if you manage to spawn Shanox, then don't kill him, just simply run out, enter the raid again, and rinse and repeat. Both of these farms require you to use a Potion of Treasure Finding for the most amount of materials gathered. So I recommend personally to run these 2 farms with a tune that have both enchanting and tailoring, since tailoring gives you more cloth collected and you need an enchanter to get the hypnotic dust. You don't necessarily need to have an enchanting on the tune, since most of the items that drops are bind and equip, but now that we actually need other enchanting materials for the Tome of Illusions, it is great to be able to disenchant the epics that also drops from these 2 raids. What I like to do to optimize my gold earn is to create bolts of Ember Steel cloth from the Ember Silk you've gathered, and then disenchant all the greens into Hypnotic Dust. But it's worth noting that the green weapons won't give you hypnotic dust, but they will instead give you celestial essence, which are dirt cheap, so just vendor them for the raw gold instead. With the ember silk bolts and the hypnotic dust, I create ember silk bags, and they sell very quickly and easily. Plus, now that a lot of new players are starting and old players are returning to Azeroth, they will sell more than previously. Number 4 is enchanting materials for Tome of Illusions. So for this, you do need to have enchanting, or at least being a group with someone with enchanting. And all you need for this is to just run old raids and old dungeons for the disenchanting crystals. I prefer to do this with all the Cataclysm raids for the Maelstrom crystals because those sell frequently and fluctuate a lot in price, but will be in demand because of both of the Tome of Illusion Cataclysm and Tome of Illusion Elemental Lords. All you have to do is just kill the trash and the bosses and disenchant the epics that drops. This is also a great way to end your weekly trash farming in Bastion of Twilight and Firelands, which will give you maximum efficiency when it comes to gold farming in these raids. Number 5. Living steel is still a really good way of earning some easy gold, or earning gold in the long run by crafting several different items. Living steel is transmuted from Riddle of Steel, which requires 6 trillion bars but has a daily cooldown. The daily cooldown can be looked past if you have the transmute Living Steel, which requires 3 Spirits of Harmony and 3 trillion bars. To get the transmute, you need to craft Mists of Pandaria alchemy items that can trigger you to randomly discover the transmute. I recommend making the Alchemist's Rejuvenation or the Master Healing Potions since they are the cheapest to make. Talking about the jewel crafting panthers. There are 5 panthers that you can create with jewel crafting, and they are Sapphire, Jade, Ruby, Sunstone Panther and the Jeweled Onyx Panther. The first 4 has an approx crafting cost of 20k gold. But the Jeweled Onyx Panther requires you to combine all of the first 4 panthers, which means at least 80k crafting cost. These are all dependent on your server market, because to craft the panthers you need 1 Orb of Mystery each, and they are sold by vendor Big Keech in Veil of Eternal Blossom for 20k gold. Or you can be lucky and find them on the auction house for less because people use them sometimes to transfer gold from one server to another. But this is pretty uncommon. So these are just 6 tips that I have to... So these are just 6 ways that I make gold through professions. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you have any input, tips or anything to me, just write it down in the comment section, or you can contact me privately through my Facebook page, facebook.com/DinaPlays. It's really easy. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye! Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to make this really short guide talking about the new toy pocket felt spreader in the Legion pre-patch and how to obtain it.